I am the Virgin of Revelation. A terribly grave persecution will be unleashed. Pray it can be stopped.
I'll get to the conclusion. His conclusion was that when the temporal power of the papacy comes to an end, that's basically a sign Antichrist is right around the corner.
Wow. And he wanted to kill the Pope. The second part is connected with the Fatima secret.
The world will enter into another war that is crueler than the preceding ones. The eternal rock that was the refuge of God's holy elect, living in his love through the centuries, will be struck primarily. Satan's rage can no longer be restrained. The Spirit of God will withdraw from the earth. Write these things down immediately and always meditate on them. You persecute me. Enough now. Re-enter into the holy sheepfold, the eternal miracle of God, where Christ laid the foundation stone.
By the way, my name is Joe McLean. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below. Pop quiz. What does the Katechon, the Antichrist, the Blessed Virgin Mary, and the prophecy of Daniel, plus the chair of St. Peter all have in common? We're going to talk about that today because I'm going to share with you a clip from my documentary film on the end times. I'll put a link below and in the flyout so you can watch the whole thing for free right now. But Joshua Charles in this clip is going to reveal a startling connection. Who is holding back the devil, Satan himself, and his rage upon mankind? Are we about to see fire come down from heaven and consume a third of the population of humanity? Bad things might be about to happen. In fact, we'll also share with you the revelations of Our Lady of Revelation at Tre Fontane. I went to Rome and I interviewed Saverio Gaeta, the author of this book. Now, this is not even the best translation of the actual message of Our Lady to Bruno Cornacch in March of 1947, but I still think you're going to be blown away by what you discover today. You may not know, and if you did know, put a comment below. Let me know what you think, but this is going to be startling and challenging. We need to be wide awake in these difficult and dark times. Live in a state of grace, my friend.
Now, it is interesting in Daniel 2, it talks about this kingdom in the days of those kings, i.e. Rome. The God of heaven, I'm doing it from memory, the God of heaven will establish a kingdom that will have no end. Its authority and sovereignty will not be given to another people. Authority and sovereignty. Okay. But then in Daniel 12, you have Daniel speaking to an angel, probably Michael, and it's explicitly about the end times. We're technically in the end times since Jesus rose, but you know what I mean? The times directly precedent to his return. And Daniel says, when will all this happen? And the angel says in Daniel 12:7, I believe, he basically says, when the power, not authority or sovereignty, when the power of the holy people has been shattered, all these things will take place. I find that very, very interesting because it implies to me that this civilizational reality called Christendom will be brought to its knees. And it implies to me that as our Lord's body was shattered, completely under his sovereignty, under his providence. He did it, Pilate couldn't do it because of his own power. He did it as our Lord said, you can only do this because authority has been given to you by my Father in heaven. But in the same way that our Lord's body was shattered, so will his church. And so it completely aligns typologically with what the church teaches about she will go through a passion of her own. So while I don't think we should be too specific with timeline, I think all these things are part of the building of the Katechon and then the Katechon ceasing to restrain. I believe all these abuses are part of what stores up judgment, really. I mean, in the Torah, God says about that the 400 years, there has to be this time when the sins of the Egyptians and the sins of the Canaanites sort of culminate so that God will release Israel, and then he'll use Israel as an instrument of judgment on the Canaanites and the other people in the land of Canaan. But he says their iniquity has not yet been completed. I believe there will be an iniquity that will be completed within Christ's own church among those who have been reborn to him, who are nonetheless betraying him, and he will bring that to an end, ironically, through Antichrist. He will bring the public celebration of the Mass to an end. So while he's Antichrist is sent as a judgment, and he's sent as a judgment, as St. Paul says, against those who hated the truth. And that will include baptized members of the Catholic Church. Henry Cardinal Manning, who wrote in the 1860s an amazing book called The Present Crisis of the Holy See. It's a series of lectures. He talked about the temporal power of the Pope. And it's very, very interesting. It's kind of along this whole Katechon way of thinking. I'll get to the conclusion. His conclusion was that when the temporal power of the papacy comes to an end, that's basically a sign Antichrist is right around the corner.
Wow. And he wanted to kill the Pope. The second part is connected with the Fatima secret.
April 12th, 1947. Destiny has brought a 33-year-old street-hardened communist spy in the Spanish Civil War, now turned fallen-away Catholic, driving trams on the streets of Rome here to the eucalyptus trees and thorn bushes of the hill across from Tre Fontane. Having already committed himself to assassinate Pope Pius XII, Bruno Cornacch had purchased the dagger, inscribing death to the Pope upon the blade, and came to plot and to plan his public attack on the Catholic Church and the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. However, the Queen of Heaven and Earth had other plans, and Bruno would never be the same.
Bruno Cornacch was a man that had a life like a story for a film, a drama for Hollywood, because he was a boy very poor. He worked in every way to gain money to survive, and went in the 30s in Spain for the war. In this moment, he understood that he wanted to be anti-Catholic, and he wanted to kill the Pope in Rome. He returned to his house, returned in Rome. He became, before Baptist and after Adventist, Protestant, because he wanted to fight against the Catholic Church. After a while, he had the aim to write a homily on the Immaculate Conception. And obviously, he was against this dogma. For this reason, he came here on a Saturday, April 12th of 1947. It was a pleasant place. Then he came here and let the children to go around this place with a ball. The girl went to take flowers for her mother, and he wrote this text against the dogma of Immaculate Conception. At a time, one of the boy fall and started to say, beautiful girl, and he thought that it was joking with you. He was very nervous, and he thought that was not a good thing. But after the other boy and the girl followed praying a beautiful girl, a beautiful woman, and he didn't understand what was happening. After a while, also him saw the beautiful girl. Behind the grotto, he saw a hand that went on his eyes, like a piece of something that covered his head and pulled out. He after had a talk with this girl for about an hour and understood a message that wrote on the same day, gave this to Pope Pius XII, that the Virgin of the Revelation then there is a connection with the Apocalypse. The message was very complex, an hour of speech, then a lot of words. The first part is connected with the return of Bruno Cornacch in the Catholic Church.
I am who am in the Divine Trinity. I am the Virgin of Revelation. Write these things down immediately and always meditate on them. You persecute me. Enough now. Re-enter into the holy sheepfold, the eternal miracle of God, where Christ laid the foundation stone, that foundation on the eternal rock of Peter. Do not forget that I always loved you. I never forgot you, and in your misfortunes, I was always close to you because it is the one unchanging and eternal covenant of God. The 9 first Fridays to the Sacred Heart, divine promise that you made before entering into lies, has saved you.
And he decided to came back to the Catholic Church, leaving the Adventist, and also his wife, his children. The second part of the message is connected with the Fatima secret and open our eyes on the future.
Where is charity? Where are the fruits of love? People of every age are hard as callous, especially the shepherds of the flock who do not fulfill their duty. Too much of the world has entered their souls, and this is a cause of scandals which lead the flock away from the way, the truth, and the life. Hard times are being prepared for you. Before Russia converts and abandons atheism, a terribly grave persecution will be unleashed. Pray it can be stopped. The time is now approaching for the end of all things in the world. The entire church will suffer a terrible trial to cleanse it of the carnality that has infiltrated its ministers.
Not just the future after the 1947, but also in this moment, because the Virgin said that there will be a period of when the faith will be under attack.
By the way, I'm going on pilgrimage with Bishop Joseph Strickland in May of 2025. We're going to Greece, we're going to Turkey, we're going to go to Patmos, we're going to go to the Holy House at Ephesus, and we're also going to go to Rome. And I would love for you to come hang out with us too. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested. Share it with a friend.
In the Catholic Church will be under attack. The Pope will be contrasted.
The world will enter into another war that is crueler than the preceding ones. The eternal rock that was the refuge of God's holy elect, living in his love through the centuries, will be struck primarily. Satan's rage can no longer be restrained. The Spirit of God will withdraw from the earth. The church will be left a widower. Here is the funeral cassock. The church will be left at the mercy of the world. Children, become saints and sanctify yourselves even more.
The doctrine, the real doctrine, will be under pressure. Bruno, but also a lot of people here, had the possibility to see the miracle of the sun, like in Fatima. There will be the possibility of a war that could auto-destruction of the world with a nuclear weapon.
There will be days of sorrow and mourning. At the appointed time, from the east, a strong people far from God will launch a terrible attack and break the things that are most holy and sacred. Together with fear, you must have love and faith. Love and faith in order to make the saints shine like stars in the heavens. Pray a lot and the persecution and sorrow will be lightened.
The two messages are very, very connected, and we need to take seriously.
Well, it's not looking good, is it? I mean, there certainly are wars in Ukraine and Israel, not to mention the constant threat of World War III coming from Russia, China, and Iran. Oh, and let's not forget about the growing divisions within the church and the spreading of heresy from high-ranking prelates. Perhaps maybe though, St. Peter has left us a clue that'll help us better understand our times. Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.